it's me again. So, today I'm going to do something a little different. I am just going to be changing my oil on my Jeep. It's well past due for the oil change. I've been driving on that for quite some time. And I thought I'll make a video about that, just in case people out there are curious of not knowing how to change out an oil out of an engine. I'm also going to change out some filters, and I hope you guys will like it, and we'll get back. Okay, these are my tools that I'm going to be using to take off my oil drain plug, and this tool here, I'm going to be using this tool to go and take off my oil filter. And this is my oil drain pan. I hope that it's not too full. As you can tell, there's some oil already in there, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to take more oil. But yeah, you want to make sure you clean this. This is why my rack looks pretty dirty, because they don't like it when you take your oil to go take recycling to any parts store. They they always said double checking, like it's oil clean, and so you want to make sure that your dirty oil is getting in the pan clean. Anyway, so as you can tell, that's my Jeep, and that's where I'm going to be spending a lot of time, is underneath there. Another thing I wanted to point out is that, yeah, I put the tarp here because you could get some oil. You're probably going to get some oil just by wind or whatever on the ground, and this helps me to not get on the ground. And I put my car or my Jeep all the way up on the rams, as you can tell, which, if you're going to do that, be sure to go and have your handbrake up and park, of course. So, and yeah, I just do that so that it's easier for me to be able to just get underneath. You can do it without the rams, but it's a little less space, so this helps. So these oil pans, they have a little tiny hole that you can open up, and you want to make sure you do that because it helps to be able to fill this without having it all bubble back when it's going into the pan. I learned that the hard way. So anyway, what I like to do is I like to open up the oil lid on top of the engine, and that also helps to bring down to drain all the oil out of the engine. And yes, my engine is still pretty hot. I just got back home from driving I think about 28 miles. So you can do it on hot engines, and I guess it's actually recommended that you do, because that way everything will be able to come out of the engine. When it's cold, the oil has a harder time to flow through and actually get down in the pan. So even though it's hot, you can work on them. Just be careful. Like, the exhaust pipe is really hot. You don't want to touch that. That's why you want to use a socket and a socket wrench, which I'm going to show you about that. And as far as I recall, these are 15 millimeter or maybe ½ inch. I'm not sure. I'll have to go check. No, it's 5/8. Should have known that. It's an American car, so 5/8. So it's my 3/8 socket wrench, and see now you gotta remember which direction is off when you're underneath because it's backwards. You're looking at it backwards, so you gotta, in order to take these off, you have to turn right. No, wait. You have to turn left. Yeah, you have to turn left. There we go. Now, if you don't really want to get your hands too dirty, just let the plug fall into the pan. Don't worry, it's not going to get into the oil pan itself. I always end up making a mess though. That's why I like having my wag. And there it goes. And like I said, you always will have a mess no matter what. I have tried so many times to prevent this from happening, and it always does. Yeah, and you can tell that my oil it's black. It's pretty black. I'm not entirely sure why. It's not that the oil is that old, but I guess I drive a lot of miles every day. So I guess that will add it up. And while you're under, you can always go and check out some things. Make sure that, things look the way that they should, which for the most part it seems to. This Jeep has a lot of miles on it. We're like talking about 224,000 miles. So yeah, this has had a lot of wear and tear. So I want to also change out the oil filter, because if it's oil like this dirty, you want to change out the oil filter just because it doesn't hurt it to change out, and it helps having your engine stay in a good condition, your oil as well. I changed out my oil filter last time I did this, but I don't know. In my opinion, if you're gonna be always changing out the oil, you might as well change out the filter too. They're not that pricey. But I mean, I guess it's not always your call. I just think that it doesn't hurt, and I think it helps. But I guess it doesn't really matter that much. But you should at least change them out every second time that you're changing your oil. I just do it every time I do it. So, about that. I'm gonna go ahead and start my engine just so I can make sure I get all the oil out of the engine. And then it does help with your oil filter as well, because you get all the oil out of your oil filter as well, and you don't have a big old mess to take off your oil filter. But if you're doing that, be sure not to run the engine for very long. I'm talking about maybe like 2, maybe 3 seconds at the most, because there's hardly any oil in the engine, and it will put wear and tear on your engine. So I just want to get the pump going inside. So there's usually not much left after you do the drain, but this does help. You get all the oil out. Um, it clears out the pump, and I'm sure that once I take off the oil filter, I'm sure I'm gonna still have oil splashing everywhere. Now with these Jeeps, mine is an inline 6-cylinder engine, 4.0, 4.0 liter, and it I found that it's the most easiest way to change out the oil filter is from the engine bay on top. You can't really get your arms and everything in there, plus it's all hot and I don't want to burn myself. But yeah, changing out the filter, uh, on these Jeeps anyway, you kind of want to just do it from the top. I'm not sure how they would work like in the V8s. I think that they have the filter like somewhere up front. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen the V8 ones. But from my understanding, the V8s or the V6s usually have them up front, somewhere. Uh, but like I said, I've been working on this engine for quite some time. I know this engine in and out. So you want to continuously drain this as much as you can. It really does make a difference when you're getting all the last pieces out, because if, for example, your engine, as many miles as this engine already has on it, I'm sure that there's some crud in there or some sludge, and this really just helps out getting out the last few chunks of whatever may be in there. Now it's starting to drip, so it tells me that, well, that most of the oil is out, but I'm just gonna leave it dripping like this. So now I'm gonna go ahead and one, I want to get my oil plug out, and this is a magnetic one. They're magnetic so that you can tell if there's been any kind of metal shavings or any kind of metal on it. So this really is a good thing to have, because you can go and look. If you find metal shavings on this, then that means you have a bigger problem. Generally, from the ones I've seen so far, haven't had any metal shavings on it. But if you do have metal shavings on it, that means that some bearing inside the engine could be bad. Could also mean that your pistons, or one of your pistons, is bad and it's scratching the wall, or your piston rings. I mean, it could be a number of things, but you don't ever want to see metal shavings on your oil plug. If you do, you might want to look into doing a compression test. That will tell you for sure if there's something wrong with one of your cylinders. But yeah, so mine looks good. It always does look pretty decent. I mean, I've never seen any metal shavings on it. And these engines, I gotta say, these are good engines. They last forever, as long as you take care of them. Okay, I apologize for not having too much light here right now. Right over here It's where my oil filter is. So that's what I'm going to be taking off. Okay. So with this tool, the chain just basically hooks right into this hook. And then you press down on it. And depending on, you also got to make sure you realize what direction you're going. Because I don't want to tighten it, I want to loosen it. So I'm not really entirely sure if I like this tool very much. We used to have a oil wrench a while back that was kind of like a plier, and that really helped out. This one, I don't know. I guess it does its job, but I'm not happy about it. Okay. There we go. Okay, now it should be loose enough to where I can do it by hand. Sure enough, got some oil coming out. Alright. So there it is. And down there you guys can see my pan. So now, basically I dipped my finger in the old oil. And what I'm going to do, this is my new oil filter. I'm going to go and rub it right around here on the inner rubber gasket. And the reason why I do that is so that this will make sure that it's not going to stick to the engine when you're taking it off. And also it helps you to double check the filter, because I mean these things are mass produced, and sometimes you might find one that has a double layer on it. In that case, you need to make sure that you take it off. That has happened. I've seen some brand new filters having a double gasket on it, and it's probably because the machine put out two at a time, I don't know. But yeah, you want to always double make sure that, you know, this looks good, there's nothing wrong with it, and put a little bit of the old oil on here. It helps to take it off when you're doing it next time. So I just went and put the new one on here, and I'm not gonna use any tool to tighten it on there. Hand tight is, like I said, the way to go, and it'll do its job. It's not gonna come off, it's not gonna leak, and hand tight is just the best way to go about it. So I'm sorry if you guys didn't see much here. I'm trying to do the best I can. I got my camera basically on top of the engine right now, so I'm gonna go and get underneath again to go and put the oil plug back in, because you want to make sure you put the oil plug back in before you're putting the new oil in. Otherwise you're not doing much good. Make sure that that's nice and tight. I don't know why that came off. Anyway, as you guys can see, I've even put the old oil filter in my pan too, so all the old oil of that filter can get out as well. I mean, it helps you saving a mess. So, I mean, it's a very slow drip now, and honestly, that's fine. That little bit of oil that may be in there is not going to be much of anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the oil drain plug back in. You want to make sure that the drain plug is free of any debris. Even though like a little tiny thing, if that gets in between the like little, it's not really much of a seal here or anything like that, but if it gets in between and the engine block and the drain plug, you can have a leak, and you don't want to leak. Okay, now I tighten my drain plug, and again, just hand tight. Well, I mean, use a socket wrench to tighten it, but you really don't want to over tighten these, because you don't want to mess up the threading. And now that this engine is hot, there's a higher chance you could do that. So just a good snug turn, and that's all it needs. And yeah, it's not leaking anymore. I'm just gonna go wipe off the remnants. Yeah, it should be all good. I just set it on here so that it can just drain in here. And yeah, my pan is getting pretty full. I need to go take it to get it recycled. Now, I'm using this oil. This is synthetic blend oil. I just went and got it just because it was on sale. It's 5W30 motor oil, and it I don't know, I just go with whatever's on sale. I like going with synthetic blend because it's the best oil, I guess. But this is synthetic blend, and for high mileage cars, either way, oil is oil, no matter how you're gonna put it. So yeah, this engine will take about 6 quarts. This is only 5 quarts, but I got another quart sitting around here. Okay, I think I got it all out of here. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So, like I said, you don't have to use a funnel. And actually, I'm not even using the white funnel for this kind of application. But it's the only funnel I got. And, well, it does the job. I just have to hold it. If I don't hold it, then, well, bad things tend to happen. I guess this is like a 1 quart funnel, so you can fill this funnel up with 1 quart and don't have to worry about it. But I use this funnel for just about everything. Anything I have to do with fluids, especially on this Jeep. Yeah, I tend to just go to use a use the funnel for my coolant, my brake fluid. Well, the brake fluid I don't really use it for. It's pretty easy to do. Same with the power steering fluid. And yes, I did go and check my transmission fluid earlier. And the way you want to check your transmission fluid, the best time to check it is when your engine is hard and your transmission is hard, like you've been driving for a while. And you want to have it parked on a pretty level surface, and you want to go and you don't shut off your engine, you keep it running, and then you check your transmission fluid, which in my case, this is a dipstick for my transmission fluid. And like I said, I checked it earlier when I pulled in here and I parked it. So it's hot, and I mean it's showing up a little higher now, but that's because it's not running. So if you want to check your transmission fluid, make sure you're in park and have the engine running, and it's best when it's hot. Then you get the most accurate reading about it. And you know, it should always have a nice tint of red in it. If it's, you can also smell it. If it smells like transmission fluid, that's good. If it smells like something burning, that's bad. More than likely, then there's something wrong with your transmission. I know that my transmission isn't in the perfect shape. I do have some issues sometimes. Like if it's not warmed up all the way, it'll slip. But again, this thing has 224,000 miles on it, and I don't think that transmission ever has been worked on, changed, or anything. So it's something I might be looking into, taking it to a transmission shop and have them change out the fluid and the filter. I would do it myself, but that's a big, messy job. This is my filter right here. So I'm going to take this off, take out the air filter, put a new one in. It's pretty simple. Most of them will have these like clamps that you can just open up. Although I've seen some that are screwed together. In that case, you'll have to use a screwdriver. But for the most part, they're just clipped on. Well, my air filter is not that bad. I've seen worse. I mean, you can tell it's a little dirty. If I had an air compressor, I would just go and blow this free and reuse it. But then again, they're not that expensive, so you might as well just go ahead and buy a new one. I mean, I could probably reuse this without a problem, but you know, after I would blow it free. But in today's fuel economy, having a really good clean air filter can help your gas mileage out. And this is my new one. You can tell that it's, well, before I put my dirty fingers on here, that's okay. But for the most part, this is all new and clean. I believe this is a Vicks air filter, which they're really good at filters as far as I know. But then again, I'm not being sponsored and I'm not making advertisements for them. I just, well, it was on sale, so why not? It's a good quality brand name. while you have this apart, it's always a good idea to go also and check your hoses and your tubes. If there's like a little bit of crack somewhere, or it looks like, you know, the fitting is not really doing its job, that can lead into many problems. You can lose vacuum in the engine, and well, here in California, um, they are very, very uptight about this kind of stuff. If you have a vacuum leak anywhere, more than likely you won't pass smog. So, you really do want to just go take a quick glance. You know, if you don't see anything like cracks in any of the hoses like these, I mean, this looks pretty good. And, you know, it always helps to double check these things. And I'm not sure if I'm quite happy with how loose that is. I don't think it's supposed to be that loose. I'm gonna go grab a screwdriver and tighten this up a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Oh, it's just a little loose. This is a really bad spot to have something loose, because this is where your air intake is. So all kinds of debris could get sucked in, dirt, and you don't want that ever. And it can also help out your fuel mileage. So after checking it all out, fixing this little issue, I know now I'm good to go and put this back together. Alright. Tighten this a little bit more. I'm surprised how loose this was. I didn't realize how loose this is. But this is the kind of stuff you really want to make sure it's not loose. Just because, like I said, you can get all kinds of debris, dirt, and you really don't want that. Especially in your main air intake. There you go. Nice and tight. Okay. Alright, let's just go ahead and start her up. I think my power steering might be kind of going out. Oh well, it seems to be working. The engine is running good and smooth. I have no problems with that. But I think my power steering might be kind of on its way out. It's making noise. Oh yeah, I had to change out the alternator, water pump, and I wouldn't be surprised if I have to go change out my power steering fluid, or my power steering. I don't really want to do that because that's also a messy job. But yeah, so far so good. So now that I got my oil change done and filter, I'm going to fix my door. It's coming apart. So I'm not really going to put too much work into this. I tried to get pushed back in, but these things are so worn out, they don't hold anything. This just sits around. This is supposed to be held together. There's a screw in here. It doesn't hold it anymore. It snapped off. So I'm just gonna go and use my 1-inch screws and just drill some holes in, and yeah, put it all together. Okay, these 1-inch screws are not long enough. I'll be right back. Okay, I have to improvise. I have a whole bunch of screws. Sure, I'll be able to find something that'll work. I think this one might be a little too long. Well, this is much better than it was before. This is not going to go anywhere now. But, however, I want to make sure I get this thing back in. Let's see. What would be the best way of doing this? Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, okay. So I put in 2 screws. One down here. Somewhere right here, right there. You can't even tell that they're there. And this thing, you know, it's about 22 years old. Something like that. So you know, this thing has had a rough pass. So, you know, I mean, my, that ceiling stuff, whatever that's called, that's coming off, and, you know, this thing has a lot of miles on it, so I don't care too much if you're gonna see, like, a little bit of, oh, there's a hole, right? Well, there's a hole, it's a Jeep. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm done with this stuff, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pack it up and go, and I hope this was useful. If you like it, please smash a like and share and leave me a comment.